What is going on, everybody? I am your host for today's Getting Started with Adobe XD. I am super excited for this, and I hope you guys are as well. Before we get started, I want to thank each and every one of you who have stayed. I was literally watching how many people were how long you guys are waiting for this segment. So with that, I want to start with, how are you guys feeling? I know it's early in some parts of the world right now. It is 10:30 a.m. for me, which is totally fine. I've had several cups of coffee in addition to reishi tea. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's a special mushroom. Don't really know what's in it, but it definitely have the energy. So with that said, guys, context on what we're going to be doing today. I'm very excited about it. We are going to be working through an ebook mobile application together, a mobile app. And before we get into the nitty-gritty on that, I want to let you know that I have for you guys what exactly we're going to be working on the next 2 days with each other, because we have today and tomorrow, same time, same place. So while you guys are letting me know in the chat how you guys are feeling, where you guys are chiming in from, let's get into the schedule of what we have lined up for today. So with that said, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, today we're starting off at 7:30 a.m. with me, obviously, your boy Brandon Groce. Next, we have at 9 a.m. we have Paul Tranny getting into with Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. With next in line, we have 9:30 a.m. we have Tyler with drawing and painting, in addition to Julia at 11:30 a.m. getting into Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Super exciting day. So the next half of the day, we have 12 p.m. with Bree doing Adobe XD workflows and pro tips. After that, we have our man Jesse Showalter at 2 p.m. PT doing Adobe XD creative challenges. And to finish off the day, we have Alice Lee getting into some doodle therapy. I know I'll be joining that because we need that. Other than that, all right, guys, so we have people in the chat coming from Germany. We're loving the new intro. It is delicious, most definitely. And I'm super excited, Tim. How you doing? I'm super excited for this week of streams as well. It's gonna be a very exciting week. So we have Sean, we have Tim, we have Anna. Hello. Welcome. We have Alper, Alex, Cheetah, Sean, so many people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty, okay? Because we are all about getting or learning more about XD. So really quick, I want to go over some resources for us. And while new people are coming into the chat, let me know how you guys are doing. Hey Chetan, how you doing? 8 p.m. See, you're good. 8 p.m. That's all you need. You're feeling good. I'm feeling good over here as well. So right now, what I'm gonna go ahead and do, let's talk about some resources if you are brand new to Adobe XD. If you guys are not familiar or familiar, this is just a good resource to know. This is called letsxd.com. A lot of people from Adobe, in addition to our man Howard Pinsky, has put together a lot of resources in regards to how to learn the basics of Adobe XD, getting started, prototyping, component states, and really just getting an understanding of all the new things that are coming out for Adobe XD. We got freebies, resources, and of course, if you haven't downloaded XD already, let's do that. But there's tons of resources and tutorials that you can get into to really speed up the learning curve when starting with Adobe XD. So a lot of good stuff. So with that said, we're gonna table that for right now. We're gonna close it out and let's get into what we are going to get into today. So really quick, I wanted to give you guys some context on what we're gonna be working through today. A very simple application, an ebook mobile application. And with that said, I want to kind of preface this to you guys, or I really ask a question. I'm a very avid reader, or rather listener. I love Audible, I love reading, but personally, I love it when somebody reads to me. And the whole inspiration for this segment today was, since I've been doing a lot of reading recently, I would love to know what you guys have read yourself. If you guys love Audible, or your own ebooks or even traditional books, what are you guys reading? What have you found that's really resourceful for you, or just a nice good read for yourself? Let us know in the chat. Other than that, while you guys are letting us know in the chat, Sam, good morning. How you guys doing? Cindy, hello. Hussein, hi. How you doing? Hey, what's going on, Tim? Anna, hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining. All right, so what we are going to be working through together today is very simple stuff. There's a lot of new features for Adobe XD, such as stacks, and we're gonna do some very simple drag animations together, but I want to let you guys know we're gonna be doing everything from scratch, how to design it, how to animate it, and prototype it over the 2 days we have together. So very simple stuff here that we'll be working through together. And at any time, guys, this is 100% for you, and I would love for you guys to stop me. I'm gonna do my best to break down everything that we have here in a step-by-step process, how to create every single component we have here. And of course, we're gonna try to simplify it just a little bit more to keep everything flat in the beginning. So if you guys have a question on how I did something, or you feel like I need to roll back the tape and explain a little bit better, just pause me, let me know, and just let me know in the chat, and I'll pause and go back through it. Other than that, let's get in. Okay, Chatan is saying just finished A New Earth yesterday. One of the best, to be honest. Yeah, books is amazing. We have Harry Potter lovers in the chat. I love this. Kevin, awesome. I'm glad you stumbled upon XD. It's absolutely amazing. All right, so let's get into our application. So first off, what I absolutely love in Adobe XD, and if you guys are new to Adobe XD, when you open up the application, you'll see a couple things. You'll see the ability to basically make different types of screen sizes. I have a couple of recent works here. And of course it breaks up two different things. Your home, where you can create new work, or you can just download plugins or add-ons. I love that component of Adobe XD, and we'll get into what I use for this project specifically. And of course, it encompasses all your work, your cloud documents, what documents are shared with you, and also managing links that you have shared with other teammates, clients, etc. And of course deleted, which is awesome because I definitely have fat fingers and I delete my work all the time, like weekly. So it's nice that it's nice to have a bucket of where I can just go in and retrieve that. So what we're working in today, just to give you guys some context, we are using this right here, iPhone. I clicked down in this drop down arrow and I just used the most recent or the size of the canvas that I need for my project. So this is what we're working with right here. Awesome. So let's get started with how I like to kind of figure out my canvas. And one of the big things that I first start off, especially as a trained artist, I always need reference. This is how and why I set my stuff up like this. I'm like, okay, great. This is what we're trying to achieve. Let's try to figure out or reverse engineer how exactly this was made. And that starts with guides. All right, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do, if you guys click on this blank new artboard that you have, there's this grid section right here on the right-hand side of Adobe XD, and I literally can just click this, and I get all the grids or layouts that I need. And so as we can see, I've already set this up in advanced, so we can use, and you guys can actually manipulate the grid in this section here. You can change the color if you want, how many columns there are, the width between, in the gutter width, the column width, or how you want the actual padding of these columns to work. So far, I have them lined up with how I want all of my content to be adjusted to one another or aligned to one another. So we are gonna start with that. All right, so first things first. I'm going to just start off with this nice top piece, and I'm just gonna turn off my grids just for now so I can grab colors and I can actually see. So let's start at the top. I'm gonna press E, and what that is I'm basically grabbing my ellipse circle right here. So I can drag out circles, all that good stuff. And we're gonna start off with this piece. Just to give some context to the piece, I'm just gonna drag this out. I'm holding shift so this circle keeps its shape. Very nice. I'm gonna pull this up to the top, just like so. And what I'm gonna do in this case, if you guys are thinking about using or trying to come up with a color palette for your own projects, things like there's plenty of resources that create color swatches for you or randomly generated ones. If you guys have questions about that, I'll put a couple of my my favorite resources in the chat as well. It's where I got these colors. So what we'll do is I'm just gonna select this color for right now. I'm gonna take off, make sure that there's no border here. And let's see. Starting off with this. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna show you guys kind of how I created this logo, so to speak. It's very simple. All I'm gonna do is it's literally just an icon and a font. It's really easy. We're using, I don't even know how to pronounce this, so forgive me, Sago UI. It's very simple. All I'm going to do is type this out. We're calling this this app, Bookpedia. So we're just gonna type that out, Bookpedia. I'm going to go to this fill right here, make it white. Whoops. There we go. Perfect. Now, this is another thing. If you guys are not privy to Adobe XD's plugins, I got you. So let's talk about plugins really quick because that's what we're going to use for this little book right here. If you guys look at your left-hand side of Adobe XD, there's 3 panels. There's our Assets panel, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. We have our Layers panel, and we have our plugins. Super simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Icons for Design. And all I have to do is type in the type of icon that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna type in book. And ta-da, we have tons of icons at the ready for anything that I need. And let's see, let's try to find the one that we used yesterday. Let's just go with this. I think it's close. Let's see, let's try to find it. Here we go, MD book. So I'm gonna click on my artboard so it actually goes to that artboard. I'm gonna click MD book, and what do you know? It's right here, perfect. So I love if plugins make things so much easier in Adobe XD. Tim is correcting me in the chat, it's pronounced Seago. All right, I got that. I got the finesse, I got all of that. Thank you, Tim, I appreciate it. And Santa is asking for color resources. We'll grab that at the end, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the chat for you guys as well, because this is something that I highly recommend. But I'll also show you guys for colors. This is a piece I absolutely love, where this generates colors for us, and this picks colors better than I can. And the thing is I can lock colors and continuously keep them in my color palette. So just really quick, this is an amazing tool that you guys can use. I've put it in the Behance chat, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. So right now we're moving back to our icon, and because these are SVGs, I'm assuming. Regardless, I can click into the icons from Icons for Design and change the icon to any color I want, which is much more valuable than pulling in a PNG. All right, great. So all I'm gonna do is I am going to center these 2 elements using our alignment tools. There we go. I'm now going to group this and center this element here. Perfect. So now we have our logo. I'm gonna actually bring this down with using my eyeballs because the alignment tool, and not because the alignment tool there's anything wrong with it, but I just want to visually make sure that this is centered. All right, make sure that this is aligned with our artboard. I'm just going to make sure it's clicked and hit align center. Perfect. All right, now let's take a look at what else we have. And one thing I want to do is I noticed that I'm actually not using the correct font. So I'm going to go and click on, and if you guys, this is a quick tip. This is something that I learned. Let's talk about clicking into elements that are in a group. So this is grouped in a lot. I hear a lot of people mention that, okay, well, I have a grouped element and I have, I'm having a hard time selecting individual pieces. Super simple. All you have to do if you're on a Mac or PC, I'm on PC if you guys are wondering, you can hit Control if you're on PC or Command if you are on Mac, and you can select the individual components within a group. That's highly, highly important. It's a smart way to do things because I've seen some students of mine struggle with grouping things and not knowing how to interact with some of the things inside of the group. So I have this group, I'm going to hit Control, click, so I am targeting my type here, and I'm just gonna go down to the text panel and do black, get that thick. Awesome, center that again by using my alignment tools, and we are going to get back to designing the rest of this. So I know we have a lot of bubbles and stuff here. We're gonna do that a little at the end because that's a little finesse on top of that. We wanna get the rest of this structure down and we'll get into that. So let's start by making some of these pills. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, again, for reference, this is just me personally, I think it's a huge benefit for somebody to always, again, take a lot of reference photos or in photography or in art, but take a lot of reference to understand, especially when somebody's new in design, how somebody else did something so they can reverse engineer it. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do just to make sure I have all my sizing and stuff correct, I'm again gonna hit Control, click on this text here to see the sizing of this. So it's 17, and what I could do, and we'll go into it a little bit later, what I'm gonna do first is, all right, great, this text is 17 pixels. At first, I'm gonna just get the pill down, the pill shape form. So I'm going to take this tool piece right here, our rectangle, you can hit R on your keyboard to make it come up, and I'm just going to drag it out. And again, I'm going to reference how large this pill shape is, 127 in width. I'm just gonna copy and paste that in and hit enter to make sure that it's the same width. And same thing for the height. I'm gonna go back over to this pill shape, look at its height, 51 pixels, perfect. I'm gonna click over into our rectangle, go into the width and height section of this element, copy, paste, perfect. So now I have the correct size of the pill. And let me see, there's a couple questions in chat. Let's see, Sean is asking in XD, can you import color schemes from Adobe Color? Let's see, I think Tim answered that perfectly. All right, great, thank you Tim for covering that. Awesome, so let's now get into how we actually get this rectangle to look like these amazing, delicious pills, okay? I'm gonna click on the element, and I'm gonna go over to the, let me see, I always get lost with this one. Here we go, it's right under here. This radius piece. All I'm gonna do is, if you guys see as I drag it up and I drag it down, you see that this element changes, it gets more curved. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this all the way up. I'm gonna do it slowly so you guys can see what's happening. Perfect, we have our nice little round pill, and now we're gonna just use our colors. Now again, just because I don't wanna have to keep going back and forth with the color palettes, I could of course hit the I button on my keyboard to get the shortcut for the eyedropper tool and select, if you guys can see my cursor now, it's selecting color. I can select anything and boom, we have the color, but I don't wanna do that every time. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go into this fill color here, and I'm just gonna click this plus button to save the swatch, because your boy is good, but we wanna make it as efficient as possible in making new things using the same colors and same fonts, etc. So we'll explain how to do that a little bit with everything as we progress with this. So next, we're gonna get into typing our genres. So first, what I'm gonna do, I wanna show you guys how to create this button and how to repeat it super simple, or easily rather. So I'm gonna click here, I'm gonna type biz. Let's make sure it is in a color I can read. Let's just make it dark for right now. Business, perfect. And I don't want it this thick, I just want it bold. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to our basically our weights and hit bold. There we go. And I'm just gonna drag this into our button, make sure it's aligned. Excellent. Now I can lighten it up. And what I'm gonna do here is actually really awesome. I also wanna make sure that the size of this is 17. So I'm gonna go 1.7, oh, not opacity. Let's actually click inside this. 1.7, 17 pixels. Awesome. Now, I was just checking chat. Tim, you're really going at it. I really appreciate all the questions that you're getting in. So all I'm gonna do here is I have selected these two together. I've selected the text here and I've held shift and I've clicked the pill. So now I'm selecting both. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Control or on Mac Command and I'm gonna say Control G. That gives me my group. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to use a padding settings. And what that will do is if I happen to duplicate this same element, if I change the text, all the padding and all that stuff that group has memorized for the padding, it will stay the same and I no longer have to push and pull the button to get what I need. So we're gonna do a little bit smarter way. So I'm gonna take this pill and I'm going to do a repeat grid. And I want to do about 4 more sections. There we go, perfect. Awesome, super simple. I don't have to copy and paste. I don't have to do any of that. I just hit, and for those of you, if I did that too fast, where this setting is I select my element and I go to the top right and hit repeat grid. And I just drag it out, and I can drag it out both ways, but obviously for right now, we're just gonna drag it out to the right. Awesome. Now what I can do from here is I want different names. I want business, design, fantasy, and maybe we can do Harry Potter at the tail end. But what I want to do here is I want to see the spacing between each. Again, reference is a huge thing for me. I'm a very big advocate of reverse engineering because that to me is perfect for learning. So another good thing that this this feature allows is I can actually change the spacing between all of the elements within that repeat grid. So I can expand it, I can contract it, and even do negative padding as well. And as we saw, there was 10 pixels in between each little pill form, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Next, we're gonna go ahead and let's start changing these names. We have business, let's put design in here. Design, and as you guys can see, you don't have to, this is the great thing about using that padding feature. You don't have to, let's see, fantasy, and let's just put random for right now, unless you guys in the chat can come up with that last segment. I'll let you guys, Brandon, I was trying to spell my name but with an R. Let me know in the chat what you guys think this last segment should be. All right, perfect. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do, I see something. There looks to be some alignment issues here. And you know what, I bet that was because, you know what I think that is because we repeat gridded everything, then changed the button. So this is what we're gonna do to counteract that. We're gonna use the repeat grid to pull everything out. I'm going to ungroup everything by hitting Control-Shift-G. Then I can go into each one of these buttons, hit design, fantasy, and random. Okay, now I'm gonna have to group all of these. Excuse me, I'm gonna just manually select. Awesome, just make sure there's 10 pixels between. Now we're gonna do a really cool thing. This is a new feature Adobe XD came out with. So I'm going to select all of these pill forms, Control G, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this stack feature right here. So I'm gonna click that, and what this will allow me to do is flip-flop different elements within a group. So I can be like, oh, well, you know, I want fantasy really to be at the front of everything. So I can easily switch it there. Everything keeps the same padding, super simple. But I'm just gonna put everything back. I'm gonna put business back here to the front, put fantasy back to here. Perfect. Awesome. Diliana is asking, how do you manipulate a specific component inside a repeat grid? It's a great question. So if we were to, let's say, I'm gonna duplicate this. By hitting, actually I'm gonna just copy it, Control C, hit outside of this group, Control V. Awesome. So if I do repeat grid and I pull this out, right? All you have to do is anything that you do to the first part of the repeat grid, it will change all of them. So if I change this color, it will change all of the repeated elements as well. So I'm gonna Control Z on that. If I decide to change the second, I remember. Here's the thing. I can create a component for the first repeat item here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this, create a component, and let's see. I guess I was wrong. I could have sworn Howard had told me there was a magic trick on this. However, let's do it like this. And this is also, Dialana, I think I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize if I'm not. But also, what I like to do is I use the repeat grid to get me the elements I need without having to copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And then I go ahead and ungroup the repeat grid, and then I just manipulate things from there. So that's how I do things. There's no right or wrong. Howard and many other people have been able to get in really with the advanced stuff with Adobe XD, but this isn't wrong either. But let me know after this stream and we'll go ahead and I'll figure that out for you and work with you to do that as well. All right, cool. So we have our little buttons here. Let's go ahead and get into, I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit. Let's get into our titles here, our genre. Now, what I'm gonna do here is, okay, it's 22 pixels, it's bold, perfect. So I'm gonna hit, just make a new text element. I'm gonna type genre, and I'm going to darken this up. And because I already do have a color scheme from this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click this text box, and again, I'm going to use our little assets panel here, or our color swatches rather, excuse me. So that when I go back to my new text element, I'm gonna click fill, click that color, and now I'm going to change to make sure it has the correct attributes. So we have 22 pixels as the size. I'm gonna click over to our font, or excuse me, our type, and I'm just gonna make sure it's 22 pixels. Now, there's a lot of other elements that are using the same size, same color, etc., same font. So what I wanna do is I wanna click on this because I know we're gonna have to be using it again and again. And we are gonna right click it and add to our character style guide or our assets. And if, like I said in the beginning, on the left here, we have a whole bunch of assets. So this is our assets panel, this is our layers, and this is the plugins panel. When we take a look at the assets, what we have here is that character style that we saved from this text. So if I type in anything, right, and let's just make it a totally random font. If I have a whole bunch of these, right, and I'm just like, okay, now I need to change it to the style that I have. I can select all of these, go over to my assets panel, click this, and they all change to the respective saved settings for that style. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. And again, let's see, we have 6 pixels from the top. And again, we are gonna turn on, I tried, Diliana, I really tried. I'm glad we could work on some of that together. I'm gonna go back and turn my grid back on. It'll help me align some things. And if you guys didn't see how I did that, is I basically selected the artboard and I get the grid settings right in this right side panel. So I'm just gonna select these two, use my alignment tools, left align, make sure everything is lined up. Awesome. So next we're gonna get started on our search bar. We're gonna pull this down just a little bit. Let's get started on that search bar, guys. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit R on my keyboard. I'm gonna drag out my rectangle. Perfect. And all I'm gonna do is we're gonna use the radius again. We're gonna use this section right here to curve the edges again. And again, just because of reference, and I want to make sure that you guys see how I look at things. And again, just looking at where the settings are when in certain elements is just good repetition. So we're gonna click into the search bar, and one thing I'm gonna look at the radius. I think I just changed it on accident. It's 8. And we have an hourglass and some text inside. Super simple. And just before we get into this, I am going to save this color. Okay? I'm gonna click in, go to our swatch, hit the plus button. Awesome. So I don't have to keep going back and forth. Now I'm gonna click on our search bar, click in or type in 8 so we have that nice radius. Then go to our fill color, click that nice gray, and turn off the border. Awesome. Now, next, I'm sure you already know, we're gonna go back to our favorite plugin, which is Icons for Design. So we're gonna go to the plugins side of things. Boom. We're gonna type in search. I probably should have typed in hourglass, to be honest with you. All right, awesome. Here we go. So I'm gonna click my artboard and click this search icon right here. Perfect. I'm gonna just size that down, just a little bit. Perfect. Fire. That's what we're talking about. Perfect hourglass. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, let's get in our text as well, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did with this here and putting that into our assets panel. So we're gonna click into this text here. We're gonna right click. We're gonna go to add character style to assets. Go to our assets panel. There we go. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm going to type inside the search bar, search your favorite books. There we go. Now I'm gonna go back to my assets panel. Oops, it was already open. I'm gonna click this. There we go. Size, color, everything. Actually, I don't think the color was there because it's opacity. So 70% opacity. So I'm gonna click back on our text, and all I'm gonna do is go to our appearance section and just roll that down. Awesome, 70%. And I know I can just copy the search bar, but we really want to. There's different levels in the chat. People really understand Adobe XD through and through, and we'll really get into some of that advanced stuff at the end of today's video as well as tomorrow. But for right now, some people in the chat, it's their first time in XD, so we really want to go through the basics and then level up. So I appreciate you guys' patience, but there will be something for everyone in this session. I'm also going to turn the opacity of this search bar down. I'm going to pull these things in. All right, great. So we're done with our little search bar here. I just want to make sure that is lined up with our grid, and it is. Perfect. I'm now going to check the spacing in between each element. So we have 30. I'm gonna bump this up just using my arrow keys, make sure there's 30. And all we're gonna do now is we're gonna start getting into the actual fun stuff. Again, a lot of you guys are like, well, Brandon, why can't you just boom, copy, and then paste? We wanna know how to make this stuff. And in other segments, we'll do that. And again, we'll get a lot more fun and advanced stuff as we continue going through this. But let us build, let's build. All right, cool. So let's get into creating our new title. So all I'm gonna do is from here is I'm just actually gonna hold Alt, drag this down for our new section. Perfect. And again, as you guys saw, Adobe XD actually showed me the spacing is equivalent from here to here. And Paula, of course. Like, there's gonna be everything for somebody. There's gonna be everything. There's gonna be something for everybody here. And I wanna really just break it down because we are in getting started with Adobe XD, but I know there's gonna be a lot for everybody. So thank you guys for your patience. All right, so we are 30 minutes in. We still have an hour. We got a lot to do. All right, so we got genres now. I'm just gonna type in continue reading. And I also have this to write out. So I'm gonna get, again, what I'm gonna do, this is a grouped element, but all I want is to select the text. So I'm gonna hit Control, click, boom. We have the color already, so we don't need to save that again. However, we want the size and the color of that character style. So I'm gonna, again, right click, character style to assets. There we go. Feel me? All right, so all we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to our, I'm just gonna duplicate this. We're gonna go back to our artboard that we're working on. It doesn't even matter if I duplicate that text element that does not look like what we're trying to do at all. We're gonna type show all. We still have it selected, and we're gonna click our little assets panel, click the right character style, and there we go. We're just gonna align it just like that. And again, we have our arrow, and we are just going to, again, I could copy and paste it, but let's go ahead and show you guys just how awesome this plugin really is. I want to type in arrows. Whoop, that is not how you spell it. This is why we go to school, ladies and gentlemen. All right, type in arrow, and it has just such an array of different type of icons we can use. And this is why I don't want to just copy and paste, because I want to show you how versatile these plugins are. So I'm gonna grab the one that I absolutely am using for this one. Make sure I'm clicked on that artboard. Let's drag this down. Size it correctly. To size it correctly, I could do it like this. I could just drag it. But to make sure the aspect ratios and all that stay the same, I'm holding Shift and I'm holding Alt, because I want it to stay in the same place. If I just hold Shift, I scale it to a corner, the opposing corner. But if I hold Alt, it does it to the center. Perfect. I'm just going to pull this right here. And I'm gonna go to the fill, take our color, just like that. Awesome. Okay, so now we are going to get to a little bit of the fun part. We're almost to the animation portion, but we're gonna start pulling. Let me turn off my grid so everybody can actually see, because I can't see what I'm doing right now. Here we go. We're gonna start on this next segment, just like this. And what we're gonna do for that is, before we even do anything, I really want us to utilize the assets panel. So what I'm gonna do really quick is I'm going to right click on this, add style to assets. I'm gonna go back to my assets panel, and I'm actually gonna name these. So we have the Proxima, this is Proxima. We really probably should consolidate the type. Actually, we'll do that. We'll do it from scratch. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to just start drawing out rectangles, pressing R on my keyboard, pulling out rectangles, holding Shift so that they are nice and square. And I'm going to actually put some radius on this. I'm gonna click in to see what this radius is. It's 15. So I'm gonna click here, go to my radius feature in the right side panel, click 15 inside there, hit enter. There we go. And now what I can do here, again, repeat grid. Let's start off with 3 books, just like that. And what I'm really simply going to go and do is I already have some images here. And this is what's really cool about repeat grids, and for why I only use how I use repeat grids in a specific way sometimes. And again, it's just my workflow, but what I could do, let me just go here, have some images. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull in some, let me actually save this as well, so you guys can see this. I'm going to select all of these here, and I'm going to pull them let me actually select this. 1, 2, 3. There we go. You guys see that? So I basically was able to, with one repeat grid, pull in a whole bunch of assets and have them go into that repeat grid, which is absolutely awesome. Uh-oh, I hope you guys aren't lagging. Let me know what's going on. Let me just double check. It says everything's healthy on my side. But let me know if you guys are experiencing any troubles on your side. I'll be sure to clear that up. But let me know. All right, awesome. So what I can do here is I can simply, again, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm actually going to ungroup this unless, let's try something. Yeah, nope, that's not gonna work. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to ungroup this repeat grid. Reason being is we're gonna do something very specific. I want to group these. I'm gonna select all of these. 1, 2, 3, Control G. And now I want stacks. I'm gonna click right here so that I can now select this, move this over here, just like that. There we go. I want certain ones first, so I'm just going to replace all that good stuff. Excellent. Now, the next thing I'm gonna go ahead and do, Kevin, look, PC is good too, my friend. But yeah, right now what I'm doing is, if you guys saw, there's still some borders on these pieces here. We don't want that. So I'm just gonna select all of them. Again, they're in a group. So I can, let's see if this actually works. I can just turn off all the borders since that's a constant with all of the elements I've selected in that group. I can just unselect border and it's gone. Awesome. Now, one thing I want to say, and it will be really relevant later, is you don't have to keep things in a repeat grid. It's good when you're pulling in assets and you just have a very repetitive shape or a repetitive component you want to fill content with. And sometimes I find a lot of the times I ungroup it so I can actually move things, and we'll see how and or why I do that as well. All right, so next what we're gonna go ahead and do, and it's all depending on how you build things. Next, I'm gonna put the title of this book, Steal Like an Artist. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do, I'm gonna check the size of this. So we have 17 pixels. I'm gonna click in this, in our title, hit 17. Kevin, no, it's all, I'm just playing with you, my friend. But yeah, XD is, you know, a lot of the people that I teach as well, they find that because the other platforms aren't necessarily PC friendly, that they feel that it's difficult to actually get into the UI UX industry. Where, you know, XD is, you know, it's friendly in that respect, so it opens up a lot of opportunities for designers who may have felt locked out because of not having the quote-unquote correct technology to get in. So next, what I'm going to go ahead and do, again, just always referencing, so we have 17 as the title, we have 18 as our, which is interesting. I don't think I'm gonna keep that. And then we also have our red text here. All we're gonna do here is we're gonna hit Alt, drag this down. We're gonna go back to our assets panel for right now. Or we might just eyeball it. We're gonna click this. We're gonna go into our color swatches, change the color. And this really, I love this feature in Adobe XD. Instead of having to go in and like up and down and the pixels and whatnot, I literally can just select what I want to edit and pull in and out this little toggle thing. It's not even like a toggle, but this little point. I can pull in and out how big or small I want this. All right, awesome. So we have, next I'm gonna do the author's name, Austin Kleon. Perfect, and we've read 100% of this book. I'm gonna copy that, put that towards the end, because that probably makes more sense. And if you really wanted to, or we really wanted to get nitty gritty with this, we could definitely add like a read bar, which would be totally cool. But let's just keep it simple for right now, just for the sake of time. And if we want to get fancy, we can later. All right, next, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna hold Alt, pull this over, and one more time. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, can I just, well, actually, that is true. I could totally do a repeat grid and put this inside of this group here, which, let's actually try that. Just so you guys can see other ways of things being created here. And of course, it would have been even better if we had, actually, let's do it this way. I wanna show you guys this. So I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to select all of this. Line this up, ungroup the grid. I'm going to select this, repeat grid. Now I'm going to pull this out. There you go. So now all I have to do is I can go back to my assets here and I can just drop these in one by one. One, where's the other one? Keep going. Oops. Where did that go? Here we go. Let's actually select the correct thing. Here we go. And what is that going into? That was interesting. Let's try that one more time. I actually think I accidentally deleted that folder. Like I told you guys, my fingers in deleting things, it happens. Well, let's just play with this for right now. So we have our three things. We can change the asset later. Doesn't matter. We want to get to that functionality, show you guys how things work, and we'll move along. All right, so we have our first section here. Continue reading. Let's see the size between, or the spacing between these words and the actual content. So we have 18 pixels in between. So I'm going to hold Shift and an up arrow so I can actually move everything up by 10 pixels. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see, let's check this out. I'm going to turn on my grids again just to make sure everything is lined up. This is not lined up, so I'm gonna group this and push this baby over. Awesome. Let's see, checking the chat. My man Tim is going in on questions. He answered them back to back. Thank you so much, Tim. Let's see. Fog is asking, what other stuff to learn besides XD? My friend, the easiest things to learn is by actually looking at other UI designers and looking at what inspires you. And from there, understanding what is the thing that inspired you and being like, okay, well, how did they make this thing that inspired me? They had to learn this technique. They had to be able to do this. It's literally, when I say reverse engineering, it's taking reference for yourself. How did one person make this? And then what are the skills they needed to create that? And how do I also do that? So that's things like, how did they learn how to do color? How did they learn how to pick the correct typography? How did they learn to do that correct spacing? And by copying or imitating these people's work for practice, you get those understanding because you're practicing those things. Muscle memory. Okay. So I hope that's a little helpful, but the main things I feel like is understanding color to the best of your ability, understanding type to the best of your ability. And to do that is to look at other people's work who you aspire to already, or you aspire to be. All right, let's get on with these next sections. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna select this entire thing. And what we could do is we could do a repeat grid, and we could just pull these things down for each section and then create the spacing that we want in between each of these sections. So we're just gonna go ahead and do 30 if I can get my fingers. There we go, 30. So this is what we have so far. Let me take off my grids. Let me actually pull this down. Excellent. And of course we can change the actual assets within these. That's a super simple, easy thing to do. And we'll do that to a degree. Let's do that for this second row here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in. Oh, there we go. All right, let's try this. Oh, did I okay. This is what we're gonna do. I am going to, let's see. Yep, totally deleted the file. It's all good, we'll make do. It is totally fine. All right, so let us do, I'm gonna try to do something really quick. I'm gonna pull these out really quick, resave them. Just bear with me. 2, and I want one more. 2, and then there's this one. Thank you guys for holding for the technical difficulty. Well, not technical, but me and my fat fingers, as always, as I open this up. Deleting things with my fat fingers. All right, let me just scale this stuff up. Perfect. Same size. And I'm just gonna select all these, hit Control E, and we're learning at the same time how to export assets. So what I can do here is I can select all these. I'm gonna make sure they're at least all the same size here. Anytime you need to export something from Adobe XD, I'm gonna select all this, hit Control E or Command E. Make sure it's a design, and I'm just gonna put these on my desktop for right now. Or make a new folder. Rename, book assets. Select folder, and export. There we go, fire. All right guys, we're getting in there. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna open up that folder, and I'm going to select one of my repeat grids. I'm gonna select these, and I'm gonna pull them. Woo, that changed everything. All right, let's go back. This is the case where I said repeat grids are good for multiplying things very easily, but in cases like this, I like to ungroup. To keep things simple, pull in 3 new books. There we go. So that is how I like to work, using repeat grids on and off to repeat things really quickly, unrepeating them so I can easily customize things in repeat grids, which goes back to, I think, somebody in the chat's question. Just checking the chat to see where you guys, if there's any other questions. Tim, you are on top. You are on top. All right, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we have these images within a mass, basically within a rectangle. And I'm just going to click in, and that totally looks like a bad word. We're just gonna pull the assets in a more favorable position where they can actually be read a little bit. Art of the start. I'm gonna click in art of the profitability. Put that right there. Excellent. And we're just gonna leave this last section here. It's okay if it's repeated for now. Next, we're gonna work on the actual navigation bar here. So let us get into it. Let me just do a time check really quick. We started at 10:30. We are almost an hour in. Totally, we're good on time. How's everybody feeling in the chat? Are we still as excited as we were when we started the segment? What's going on? And if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna take this little breather for myself so you guys can ask any questions in the chat of what we have gone over so far. Obviously, we still need to get those bubbles in. But let's get our navigation bar in place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a rectangle by hitting R. And again, I'm going to reference this piece here. I'm gonna control, again, this is a group. What I'm going to do is hit Control, click in, so I can see the width and the height. We have 375 and 83 for height. So I'm gonna click this, copy, Click in here for the width, paste. 375, and I believe it was 81, 83. 83 in height, I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna paste it right here. Excellent. I'm gonna take this border off because we don't need that. We're gonna click here, and the reason why I am clicking the artboard first is I'm looking for this. I'm looking for this line, and what that dotted blue line, if you guys can't see that, what that is indicating is the bottom of that screen real estate. So we have a phone, and because the phone is not this long. Someone tell me who's gonna buy a phone this long. If you do, Apple, please don't make that. But what I'm trying to say is we want to rest our navigation right on top of that blue line, just like this. And I'll show you why, because that is still in the screen real estate that we will be seeing on page load of this application. So next, we're gonna go back to our awesome icon. Actually, I think we'll still go back. We'll still go back. But in reality, what I could do, and we'll do this. Let's say if I had a document. This was a previous document. I'm like, I really like these icons. I constantly want to reuse them. We're gonna do the same thing like we did with our fonts. We're gonna right click them and we're gonna create component. And what that will do is I'm just going to go to our assets panel. You see them right here. So we have our blue house. I'm gonna delete this because we no longer need that. And I'm gonna do the same thing with our other icons. I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna hit Control K, which is also a quick shortcut for what creates a component. And I'm gonna do that one more time, Control K, for our last little icon here. Now what I'm gonna do here is I need to figure out the correct spacing for each little icon to go. So let's see. We gotta do some math, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this width really quick, 380, and I am going to do 380 divided by 3, and I'll tell you why. I think that, all right, let's just hope that's good enough. All I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna do another rectangle, and I'm gonna do the width this size, and I'll show you why. For right now, I'm gonna take the border off. I'm also going to match the width, or the height rather, of this as well. So 83, copy, paste, there we go. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change the color of this so I can actually see what's happening. I'm just going to bring this in alignment with my nav bar. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to drag this across, make sure that there's no space. And there's many different ways of doing this. Actually, it looks like the math was wrong. Let me see this. Let me delete really quick. Because what we're trying to do, and I did this on my previous XD file, which is, we don't need to get the math right here, but I want to show you what I did. I'm gonna just grab this. I created spacers, 1, 2, 3, with width of 125, which is 1/3 of the full width of this navigation component. Oh, that's why. Because the math, the actual size of that component was wrong. So that's why the math was wrong. It wasn't me. Well, it was me. I pulled it out. So I would use these on top of the nav bar. I would pull in my different components. We have our house, profile, and our book. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the icon with that little box, and I'm gonna center it. And what that will do is it will center each icon in the correct mathematical way in three pieces. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, rather than trying to eyeball it and that not working out. And this is just the way I do it. I've seen other designers eyeball it and still get it right. I have to rely on math in boxes. So again, it's all about the outcome, not necessarily about the right or wrong way to do things. Oh, I didn't. There you go, Tim. You can do math in Adobe XD. See, there's things that I don't even know, and I didn't know that was possible. I've done that with like other things, but for some reason it didn't click to me here. I always, for some reason, do things like this. But we'll be doing that from now on. Thanks, Tim. Awesome. So now what we're gonna do here is I want to add just a little bit of a shadow to this navigation piece. First, before that, I'm just gonna group everything. I'm now, as it's grouped, I'm gonna control click this back portion of the navigation bar. I'm gonna click shadow, and I want the shadow to go up. And that's, if you guys are seeing the shadow move, the negative numbers go up, the positive numbers go down. All right, so we want a little bit of a negative shadow. I want to blur this out just a little bit, and I want to turn the opacity just like, I only want like a little, not too much. And what we're gonna do is, another thing I wanted to mention to you guys is you have to make this component, you have to make it fixed position. If not, this is what your artboard will look like. It just stays there. And it's just like, that don't even work. So what we need to do is we need to go to this portion here, fixed position when scrolling. We're gonna click that. And we are going to, before I do that, we're gonna turn my music back on. So now that this is a fixed position when scrolling, all I'm gonna do is hit play, and you just hit this little play button here. Now that navigation piece stays to the bottom the entire time. Just like that. Cool. So far, so good. Rithi in the chat has said I really would have brought in the ruler. Trust me, I was eyeing my ruler on the floor, prepared to pick it up and be like, okay, this is 3. Yeah. So thank you, Tim. All right, so we have our navigation, we have our different section of this mobile app. Let's kind of get, we won't decorate just yet. I really want to make these bubbles, but we'll pause. We'll do our first little animation here. What we're gonna do is we are gonna do a quick drag animation. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm taking this artboard, I'm gonna pull it over here just so we can have it secluded. I have our artboard, I'm gonna hold Alt, just drag it over. And I want our first animation is to drag back and forth our tiers here. Not our tiers, but our book selection. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Control Shift, comma. I hope that's a comma. Whatever this is, guys, it's probably an apostrophe. Don't yell at me. It's whatever this is. I think that's an apostrophe. I have no idea. This is why you go to school, kids. But Control Shift apostrophe, and I want my grids to come back on. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull this over here. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this section here. I'm gonna go to our prototype section right here. We have 3 different tabs. We have design, prototype, and share. With this selected, I'm going to pull this little line that we got right here. I'm gonna pull it over to this artboard. Go onto our trigger. We don't want a tap trigger. We want a drag trigger, and we want the easing to be snappy, if you know what I mean. So we got the snap, and we want to make sure it goes back as well. So we're gonna select our same component on the other artboard, pull it over, and it automatically does it for us, which is absolutely awesome. We don't have to redo anything. So I'm just gonna hit play. And this is what we got. Super simple. That was accidentally in the group. We got to pull that out. So I'm going to undo all of that because it's going to be easier to pull this out. I'm going to go back to our design. We do not want this, or actually, is there a smarter way to do this? No, we're just gonna pull it out for now. Control X, click out of that group because we don't want it in the group. Control V, puts it in the same place, but it's not a part of this group any longer. I'm gonna do the same here, Control X, click out, so we're not longer in that group, Control V, perfect. All right, so now let's do the same thing that we did before. Let's prototype everything. We're gonna pull this over here, good. Oh, continue reading needs to stay too. So we're gonna do the same thing there. Click that, Control X, Control V, Control X, click out of the group, Control V, so that everything gets pasted right where it was and not somewhere random on the artboard. All right, so now we should be able to move the cards independently. Good. Finally. Let me see. Reading the chat, just making sure there was no questions. I'm still laughing at Rithi talking about the ruler because I really was though. All right, let's get into prototyping this. We are going to go to a prototype tab, pull this over. It still remembers the options that we use, so we're gonna go ahead and just drag. We don't have to redo anything in our left hand or our right hand palette. Oop. Looks like we might have to. Let's see. Did we pair everything correctly? We got drag, boom. Oh, we didn't move this. Hitting Control Shift. Actually, I'm gonna just turn the grids on. I'm gonna go back to design, get our layout, pull this back just a little bit. Use my arrow keys. There we go. Excelente. All right, so now everything should work properly. We have our nice little drag, and actually how we want it. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that for each one of our sections as well. I'm gonna pull this off just so I can see everything. And because I'm gonna just do this very quickly because it's the same process. I'm gonna pull these out, Control X, Control V. Control X, click out of the group, Control V, perfect. One more time. Control X, click out of the group, Control V, perfect. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Control X, Control V. Pull this off to the side. Control X, Control X, click out of the group, Control V, perfect. Now I'm gonna pull this back on, and I want to notice when I Control V'd, all that stuff to continue reading and show all came to the top of the artboard. We want the navigation to be at the top. So I'm going to hit Control Shift right bracket. That will bring up everything that I've selected to the top of the artboard. I'm going to do the same here. Control Shift right art bracket brings that navigation right back up to the top. Perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is this is starting off here. I'm gonna pull this over, whoop. We don't wanna pull it over there. We actually want to make additional layers here, or not layers, artboards rather, because we need a different happening for each one of these. So for this section, we're gonna use this one. I'm gonna pull that over. I'm gonna take this section, go to our prototype, pull it over to this artboard. And the reason why I'm doing that is because if we did it to this one, if I moved this here, because we've used this section already, or this artboard to move the top layer or that top section already, we don't wanna use it for this. We wanna use another artboard. Same thing here. We're gonna use this last artboard over here. We're gonna pull this just like that. Perfect. Select this, pull it all the way over to that third artboard. Now let's check it out. So we have our first row, very nice, perfect. Have our third, whoa, that's that funky stuff that we were talking about. And you know what that's from? It's because I copied this artboard. So it's doing the animation of this and this. Or excuse me, it's doing the animation of, yeah, this one. So we want to just pull this back, just like that. And now we shouldn't have that problem. And I'm gonna pull this back too. There we go. Now everything should be hunky-dory. Hey Christina, welcome, welcome. Hey, what's going on, Paco? How you doing, my friend? All right, so we have our 3 stacks. We have boom, boom. There, boom. And we have our third thing here. Awesome. Now let's get into this piece here. This is gonna be a really, really, really fun piece. And before we get into that, let's actually get some of these nice little blue bits here, because we can do some pretty fun, interesting stuff with that as well. We have about 20 minutes, and I think that is where we're gonna leave, because tomorrow we'll definitely have a lot of time to do this and even more of that prototyping and other pages as well. So let's actually get into, and we'll do this status bar as well. So let's get into making our little circles. So I'm gonna get out of prototyping and go to design. I'm just gonna hit E on my keyboard, and we're gonna start making some circles. Make sure to go to my color swatch, get our blue, and I'm just gonna start just copying, holding Alt and dragging a whole bunch of different blue circles to wherever I see fit. And I'm gonna give them different sizes. Let's go ahead and, again, I'm gonna reference because I really liked how this was. I'm just gonna duplicate that, bring it next to my artboard. We got a nice little blue thing over here. Reference is key, guys. It's one of my, people always ask, like, how do you, what is the word? How do you avoid, it's not really, I guess burnout, or where do you get your creativity from? And I'm just like, there are tons of individuals who are super talented, and just looking at their work and being inspired by that makes me want to learn how to do that. And I try to figure out what is gonna allow me to learn that stuff, and I go learn each skill one at a time. So if you are like, wow, you know, you saw something here that you thought was really interesting, more likely than not, you're gonna find tutorials on that on YouTube, my Instagram channel, you know, on Let's XD. There's a whole bunch of resources to help you learn what it is that you want to master. All right, so I'm just pulling some of these circles out. We're just having fun with this, guys. Constantine is like, you're making a lot of artboards. Yes, if we zoom out, there's a lot here. Basically, all this was to show you guys what we're doing. These 3 to show you how to do specific things, or how to do our different in and out sort of scenario. And this one I just copied because I was too lazy to pull this one over. But in real life, you don't need as many artboards. It's just different workflows that are efficient for you and that you're comfortable in working within in the quickest amount of time. So what I'm gonna do here, okay, we have some circles. I'm gonna just do one more and pull that in, holding Alt, pulling it over there. I'm gonna pull this in just a little bit. And I'm really curious, this seems pretty far up, so I'm going to see how far this is. This is height 138. Oops. 138. So let's see. I'm gonna drag another just for measuring 138. That's 139. Cool. So I'm gonna just pull all this up minus that little rectangle we made. Just right there, about. Perfect. Complete the rectangle. I'm looking at the chat. Rithi, it's looking really good. I wonder how does one really approach the design of the background? It's been stumped. The background, you mean the circles? All right, let's see. I'm gonna move this down just a little bit. Move this down just a little bit. right, now I want to see, there's 16 pixels of space. What I'm going to do here is I want to select all this stuff. And I'll just copy everything that happens here. I'm just going to select all this. I'm just delete it for now, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, copy, paste, paste, paste. Now I'm going to select all these other elements across the artboards, and I'm going to drag them up. One, two, three. That looks about right. I want 16 pixels. Awesome. How are you guys still feeling in the chat? Are you feeling good? Any questions you guys want me to roll back and answer really quick? We have about 15 minutes here. I want to do a really quick, nice, and simple animation for you guys before we leave. We already have the drag. We already have our navigation, but I want to show you something that is actually really interesting. And there's a lot of ways to do this. Okay. Let me scale this up just a little bit. Scale this up one more. And before we go, I'm just gonna do this really quickly because I know I'm gonna pretend that this whole bar is a component. 1, 2, 3. Keep clicking the background. 1, 2, 3, 4. And like we did before, I'm gonna hit Control K to make a component, and it goes into our component assets library. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here, select my artboards, and just, where'd it go? It's like, not today. All right, we also have to fix the navigation. As you guys can see, the blue bars, because we pulled everything up. There we go, we fixed that. All right, next. Oh, actually, I'm just gonna copy, just for sake of time, I'm gonna paste it in. Super simple, it's a component, I'm just pasting in, and it already knows where to go based on where it was put in the artboards here. And again, if you guys are just coming in brand new to this stream, there's an amazing plugin for Adobe XD called Icons for Design, where I've gotten every single icon that was in here. Icons for Design, you can get batteries, full ones, empty ones, you know, ones that have like 5%, a lot of things. Same thing with the bars and Wi-Fi. This plugin is a lifesaver. You don't have to leave the platform to really get anything that you need icon-wise. And they're SVG, which is great. But wake me up before you go. All right, guys, I still know it's still pretty early for some of you guys, so we still need to wake up a tad. All right, so let's do this interesting. I want to do this little idle animation thing. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to duplicate this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move these circles around just a small tad bit. I'll scale them up just a little bit. Move stuff around, pull this down, pull this over here, pull this over here, pull this down. And you guys will see in a second what I'm about to do. All right, so really simple. To do like idle animations, again, this probably could be really distracting, but I want to show you guys that this is possible. I'm going to click this artboard, go to prototype, and I am going to take this arrow from the artboard, pull it down, and instead of drag, I'm going to go to time. I want a 0 delay, and the duration I want as long as possible. I'm going to do 5 seconds. If I could do 6 seconds, that would be awesome. But we'll do 5 seconds. And instead of snap like quick motions, we don't We don't want that. I feel like that's gonna become a meme, like a hiya. We're gonna do ease in and out. And what I'm gonna do here is, now that this artboard is going at 0 seconds, gonna go to this artboard, we want the reverse to happen too. I'm gonna take this artboard arrow, pull it back up, and it does the same exact timing here. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the initial artboard, hit play. Oops. And we have this nice little floating effect with the bubbles. And again, you can time it how you want, but it's nice and smooth to the point where it's not super distracting. And again, I wanted to showcase this to you. It does do some stuff to the artboard where you can't do your other animations and whatnot, but I wanted to show you, if you wanted to create a quick concept of what that header would be as a different project to showcase to your team or your clients or whomever, this is a way to have some nice smooth animation and idle animation as well. All right, guys, we have about 4-ish minutes. I know that Adobe is gonna switch over to the next bit in about five-ish minutes. So this is what we're gonna do. I wanna let you guys know, if you guys come tomorrow, we are going to be working on animating this portion of our work. So, and also, if you guys come tomorrow and we have enough time, we will talk about how I did this revolving sort of carousel bit here. Again, for UX purposes, it's probably not the best, but it's cool. And if you want to figure out how to do it, come tomorrow. If we have time, we'll go over it. But we will be focusing tomorrow on this animation here and a couple other pages as well. But for right now, we'll just start building it out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our initial page, and we're also gonna mark this home page as well, to signify that that's where we're starting. And I'm gonna take a look at the chat just because we do have a few minutes left and I do wanna answer anything that I can. Ladia is like, animations, yes! And yes, Christina, do not forget to save, because this entire time I have not saved, so thank you. I'm sure you were seeing Untitled 1 and you were like, that seems like a disaster waiting to happen. So let's do, what shall we call? Ebook V1. Perfect. Thank you, Christina. All right, so we have our 3 artboards. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy this, holding Alt, pulling this down. I'm gonna detach all of the wires from here because we're not gonna need any of that. And what we're going to do, oops, not duplicated again. Tim is like, no need to save with cloud documents. But don't you need to save with, oh, you're right, but I didn't save it in the first place, that's the thing. I needed to save it as a cloud document so I don't have to save. All right, let's get into this second portion of this, which is interesting. I'm just pulling this over so we have, again, reference. I'm going to take this. I'm going to hit Shift and 2 down arrows, and I'm gonna turn the opacity all the way down to 0. I'm going to do the same thing with this group. I'm gonna hold Shift, hit the down arrow twice, parent 0. And again, I'm gonna be doing this from scratch tomorrow because it's gonna be very difficult for you guys to know what we did today, like the very small thing that we're about to do today for tomorrow's session. So what I'm gonna do here is some of the stuff that I highly recommend that you guys check out to learn. And I'm gonna switch to my face cam because I'm gonna end it like this. Thank you guys so much for coming out to this segment of Getting Started with Adobe XD. I hope you guys enjoyed some stuff that we went over today. And tomorrow we're going to be putting everything together, the auto animations, the full package, getting in some of this drop shadows that I missed, but a lot of the advanced stuff that you guys or some of you want to learn is going to be for tomorrow's session. A lot of today I wanted you guys to get up to speed on what we're going to be doing tomorrow, so that you guys don't come tomorrow and be like, where did he start? What's happening right now? So with that, thank you so much for joining us on Adobe XD. This has been an amazing time, and until then, I'll see you. Peace.